Hello, good morning. Welcome to my YouTube channel where we talk about marriage and relationship. So last week we were talking about singleness, how to enjoy being single, and how it's not lesser than marriage, and how to live as a single person. So today, as we continue talking about singleness, I want us to talk about the common mistakes that singles make. And I've been a single before, so I've made some of these mistakes. But also, I realized that because of the immense pressure from life and all that stuff, single people make so many mistakes. Unfortunately, some of them have very, very far-reaching effects. Some of them have very bad repercussions, like you cannot go back, you cannot get back from them. But it is well, the grace is always sufficient. So today we are talking about the common mistakes singles make. And these common mistakes, I got them from a lady. There's a pastor lady. She's called Mary Welch. She's a single pastor. And she's made some of these mistakes herself, and then she's written about them. So today I just wanted to share with us some of the common mistakes that we make as single people, so that we can look out for them and try not to make the mistakes, you know. They say a word to a wise is enough. As a wise person, you don't have to learn from your mistakes. You know how they used to tell us that, what's that saying? That mistakes are the best teacher. Well, experience is the best teacher. I think that's what it is. But you do not have to have bad experiences to learn. You can learn from other people's experiences. And here are some of them that I want to share with us this morning as single people, so we can learn from them and avoid them. So the very, very first mistake that I want to share that singles make is that they think that marriage is the only lifestyle and that it will solve all their problems. So when you're single, you think that that day you get married, you won't have any more problems, like your life will be perfect. Like we think that singleness is one big waiting room, and that day you get married is when life begins. But that is not the right attitude towards it. Like that is so wrong, because like I shared earlier, even as a single person, you can live a complete life. You know, God did not say that He will only fulfill us in marriage. Even as single people, you can be fulfilled. Even as single people, you can have fun. You can be an important person in society. You can change lives. You can be significant. Like the calling that Christ has put on us to go and make disciples is not limited to married people. It's not that when you get married, that's when life begins. No. Life begins right now, wherever you are, whether you're single or you're married, you can have a good life. And also, guess what? When you get married, it doesn't solve all your problems. Not at all. Actually, when you get married with a plan of, when I get married, all my problems will be solved. What a shock. You're going to put immense pressure on your spouse, and he or she is going to hate it. Like nobody wants a partner who is just constantly taking. Like what are they called? Pests? They're called parasites. Like no one wants a parasitic relationship in marriage. So the thing about finding fulfillment when you're single is that then you find your completeness in God. Then you begin to accept yourself the way you are, and learn to draw everything from God and not from another person. So then when you get married, then you're a complete person, feeling completed, feeling fulfilled by God. Then you marry another completed person. Then the two of you will become one, and it will be a very beautiful relationship. Someone once said that marriage is not about two halves of people making one. No, you have to be complete as an individual, complete in yourself in Christ, and then when you come together, then you'll have a very beautiful relationship. So stop looking at marriage as an escape of your current life. Like there are things you don't like about your life, and you think that the moment you get married, all your problems will be solved. That is a lie. It won't happen. Like that's not how it is. The other mistake that singles make, one, is they become so consumed with the desire to be married, it almost becomes an idol. And as human beings, any desire can become an idol. And so we have to be very, very cautious about the things that we focus on and how much we want them. Because the Bible tells us in Matthew 6:33 that seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto you. So what God is really telling us is whatever it is that we long for in life, we need to seek him first. Seek his face first, and then all the other things will be added. And all the other things could be marriage, could be good relationships, could be all that stuff. So if we find ourselves fixated on a particular thing and we make it our idol, then we lose it, because the Bible said you shall have no other god but me. So if marriage has become your idol, you start moving around with this desperate look. I keep telling people that the thing about being desperate for anything is that desperacy is not cute. It's not cute at all, at all. I used to be, in my former job, I used to be one of the guys who used to make interviews for people who wanted to work. And then there are people who would come in for the interview and they would bambing that they have not had a job for so long, and they are so desperate. They are so desperate that you ask them questions and they're like, any amount. You ask them, what do you want to be paid? Any amount, any amount. You ask them, why do you want that job? They're like, I've suffered. I just, that feeling of, I'm so desperate, please help me. It's just so repulsive. And I think it's as repulsive as it is in workplace environment as it is in marriage. If you have a spouse who is so desperate for you begin to get irritated. Like, it's repulsive. So you don't want to be a single person who's walking around with so much desperation over them that their spouses or people who find you will not want to marry you. I recall when I was in campus, there was this whole thing that by the time you're graduating on campus, you have to have a fiancé whom you're going to marry shortly after your graduation. So most of my friends, not most, but a good number of my friends, they were ready. By the time they were graduating, they had their fiancés, they got married immediately, and it was so cool. They got married like immediately after campus. So I think I was at that level in my life where I also thought, wow, I need to get a spouse before I graduate. I need to get a fiancé before I graduate, so that by the time I'm graduating, even me, I have a fiancé, they introduce him on my graduation, and then like a week after or a month after, I'm getting married. But wow, you guys, by the time I was graduating, I had no fiancé. No offense to the guys whom I was friendly to, but none of them at that point was at the point of being a husband. So I had no one. So I literally graduated. On my high table, there was no fiancé. There was my grandmother and my headmaster from Budo, Mr. Busura. And I had no fiancé, and it was okay. But guess what? At that time, I didn't feel like it was okay. I felt like, man, there should be a man seated here who's going to get married to me in like a few weeks. But there was no man. But it's well. So I finished, and I went through that phase of thinking, oh my God, I need to get married. I'm the firstborn. I'm blocking everyone's blessings. I don't know what. But for me, what was really, really my breakthrough was that I attended a conference, a women's conference, by the lady who wrote the book I'm talking about, Common Mistakes Singles Make. And she talked about marriage so simply and easily, and she made us realize that it is okay. It's okay. It's okay if you're not married right now. It's okay. Whenever you get married, in due time, God will give you the right person. You don't have to be desperate. She just taught us to focus on ministry and other things, and focus on making ourselves useful in the kingdom of God, and just seeking God, and then we'll find marriage along the way. And that's what I did. So I let go of the that thing of I have to get married now, Bananga, if I don't get married, my life will end, and things like that. So I let go of it. I think I was about 23. And guess what? I married at 28. So it took me almost 5 years to get married. And what was so funny is where I was working, because I was working in a Christian organization, you guys, you had to be married. Every time someone got married, it's like they had reached So those of us who are single, it was just too bad. And I remember one of those days, my boss called me to his office and he's like, "You're such a good girl. I'm waiting for you to get married. Like, I'm praying for you to get married." And you could see it was Bambi, his earnest prayer that I get married, because he thought I was such a good girl, I'd make such a good wife. And here I was single, and he's wondering, why aren't the men seeing you, about what? It's really bothering him. And so I told him that, but you know what? What if I'm not supposed to get married? What if marriage is not in my, in God's plan for me? That guy was like, "Don't ever say that. Don't ever say that. We are praying for you. You're going to get married." I don't know what. Well, I eventually got married, but the point I'm making is that it wasn't a crisis because I was single. Like, I had embraced my life at that time. I enjoyed my work. I enjoyed traveling. I actually traveled a lot during that period. I had so much fun as a single person. And so when the marriage came, I was like, "Hey, okay, now it's time to get married." Fine, then we got married. But I wasn't there being like, "Oh my God, if I don't get married, Banangi, I'm going to die," So many married people get drawn into that. And please don't allow yourself to get there. Just enjoy your life, because God is able, more than able, to fulfill you more than any man or any marriage will fulfill you ever. The other mistake we make, mistake number 3, this is mainly common with women. We misinterpret the intentions of the opposite sex. So when someone just says hi to you, you're like, "Oh my God, he likes me. Oh my God, he's going to marry me." What a shock. So people say hi to you and you begin acting like you've been dating, or that you're dating. And it's also repulsive, right? You don't want to say hi to someone and then they're acting like you've been dating, like you've been having, I don't know what. So you can have a normal relationship with somebody, a friendship, and just get to know them better and have friends without necessarily be dating or getting married. Then the other thing, the other mistake we make is we put up with too much in a relationship for too long. Like, we hang on for too long. Have you seen those people who are in these relationships? They're not married. They're just dating this person. And the person is so disrespectful. The person is so, I don't know, it's such a bad relationship. But because they want to get married, they're like, "I can't let go. I have to get married, so I'll stay here." And they hang there and they're battered. And their self-esteem is battered because they are dying to get married. I had a friend in campus who had a boyfriend who used to beat her, you guys. He would beat her on campus. Like, she'd go to his home. Then, I don't know what, she'd come back and they've beaten her. She has scars all over. And I'm like, why on earth would you be beaten by someone? I don't know. What are you doing there? And she just kind of hung in there until, at some point she had to break away. But she put up with so much. You don't have to put up with so much. You are not even married to these people. At least when you're married, then you can ask God for the grace to hang in there. But when you're not married, what are you doing with a man or a woman who disrespects you and treats you, I don't know, like nobody? You don't have to be there. You don't have to. You don't have to be there. Most of us stick there because you think, yes, this is going to end up into a marriage. I had another friend of mine who was cohabiting with this guy, and it was such a bad relationship. His relatives were so mean to her. They disrespected her. They didn't even like her at all. But she just felt like this is the closest she could get to a marriage. And I remember her telling me that now I also have a husband. And I had to tell her, "No, you don't have a husband, you have a boyfriend. And you don't have to put up with all that." So do not allow yourself to put up with things because you think that's the only way they will marry you. No. In due time, God will bring you the right person, so you don't have to put up with bad relationships for the sake of getting married. The other mistake, this is mistake number 5. We do not always, as single people, we are not always good at reading the danger signals, the red flags. Somehow when you're dating and you're single, dating, you're so in love. Oh my goodness. that you do not see that this person has anger management issues, or that this person is unfaithful, or that this person is a liar. Even when people tell you, like, no, you guys are just jealous of me. You're so blinded, blinded to this relationship, that you do not see the things that God is literally showing you. So you get married to this person, and man, your eyes open and you're like, what a shock. Like, what kind of man or woman did I marry? So I feel like single people, even as you're dating, please open up your eyes. Open up your eyes to the person that you're dating. Because if you agree to marry them and you've been blinded because you're in love, which we all have been, and we've seen some of these things and we've just ignored them, they don't go away sometimes, because sometimes that's who their person is, and then you get married and then it becomes so bad and you can't contain it. So there are so many mistakes that we are going to talk about, but today I have just spoken about 5, and I'm going to go through them one more time as we close. The first mistake is we think that marriage is the only normal life. In other words, we stay in a waiting room waiting to get married. We think that once we get married, all our problems will be solved. But that's not necessarily true. Marriage may not solve all your problems. Number 2, we become so consumed with the idea of marriage that it becomes almost an idol in our lives, and that is wrong. God says you shall have no other idol, not a person, not a dream, not a desire. None of those things should take his place. Number 3, we should stop misinterpreting the opposite sex. Just because someone has said hi to you, they don't want to marry you. They're just saying hi. They're just nice people. So do not misinterpret their intentions or attentions. Number 4, do not stay in a bad relationship like longer than you have to. Once you realize it's a bad relationship, please walk away from it. You do not need a bad relationship. You do not stay in because you want to get married, because the moment the relationship is bad, the marriage will be even worse. So do not stay in a bad relationship unnecessarily. Then number 5, look out for the danger signals, because we see them. You see, as you date, or as you hang around people, as you get to know them better, there are things you notice and you realize, I don't think I can deal with this. There are some character issues. I mean, is the guy a liar? Is he a murderer? Okay, maybe not, but I'm just saying that as you date, open up your eyes. As you get to know people, open up your eyes so that you do not make mistakes that will cost you. Because once you marry somebody, then you can't undo it. Once you're dating, you have the opportunity to be like, no, I don't think I can marry this kind of person. I do not like the way, I don't like their worldview. I do not like the fact that they are unfaithful. I don't like the fact that they are liars. I don't know. At that point, you kind of have an opportunity to walk away. And that saying that when you're in a bad marriage, being single feels like heaven. So do not get into a bad marriage just like that, just because you have to get married. So those are the 5 mistakes we have done today. Next week, we'll continue with the common mistakes singles make. Please bring your single friends. Remember to tune in, subscribe, and like. Bye. Thank you for coming.